to Digital Mandate, presented to you by Tech Disruptor Media. Have Shashank Bajpai with us. He is the CISO at Yotta Data Services Private Limited. Welcome, Shashank, to Digital Mandate. Shashank, AI-driven IAM is rapidly gaining traction. It's a huge leap forward, but it also brings unique challenges. How do you, as a tech leader, see us balancing this incredible innovations with crucial ethical concerns, particularly around biases in behavioral biometrics?
Thanks, Isha, and thanks for Disruptor Media for having me today on this vivid topic of cybersecurity and identity. And very rightly said about the identity and the biases which comes with AI. So artificial intelligence is always, based on the data which is fed into while the AI models are getting learned. That's why they call the large language models and LLMs. They definitely depend on what type of data set have been provided to them. And in identity and cybersecurity, what happens is these behavioral, biometrics, can definitely have a lot of biases. So obviously, for bias mitigation, what we think is that we have to have multiple environments of data sets, different, diverse in subjects, diverse in geography, because something which is applicable in say US Americas versus say Europe and Middle East and versus what is for Asia Pacific and India, are completely different. These all geographies and the user behavior pattern, the way they behave with the systems, and how they keep their passwords, everything is quite unique to these geographies. Also, I believe that transparency is the key when we are dealing with artificial intelligence, because we should know how the user's behavior is being analyzed, and what we are basically trying to achieve out of it. And also, I think too much reliance on AI, is dangerous. We should always have a fallback mechanism. That what if the AI model, as you rightly said, introduces a bias and is not allowing you to log in, whereas it is your own say bank account and you are a valid user. So there should be ways which can turn off these AI mechanisms and go back to the traditional way of maybe through OTP or through multi-factor, allow users to get into the login. So I guess these three four guardrails should be there to balance, because obviously we have to have innovation. We cannot say no to it. We have to adopt those innovations, but at the same time we should have all of these ethical concerns in place. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. The AI and using AI is we are seeing AI everywhere in every sphere of our life, either it's personal or professional. So my next question is, trust is a paramount. Moving to another critical area in tech, data privacy is dominating headlines globally. Every day we are reading about data breaches and all. So how do you see current IAM framework aligning with the major regulations like India's DPDP Act 2023, the CCPA in California, and the GDPR in Europe? Are our IAM solutions keeping pace?
Right. Yeah, including of so obviously cybersecurity and privacy. Privacy can be achieved, from cybersecurity controls like identity and everything. So privacy is obviously a mindset, wherein your private data and should not be exposed to, say, my private data shouldn't be exposed to the public, and likewise. So it is everyone's private information and privacy information, or digital privacy, because everyone has a digital persona also nowadays. Like we are available, say, on different social media platforms, be it LinkedIn, be it Instagram or Facebook. There are so many meta platforms. There are so many digital identity. So Shashank Vajpayee exists as a person in this physical world, but at the same time there is a digital persona of myself. But what exactly is getting exposed through those two channels is very much to be controlled. And talking specifically of identity and IAM frameworks, I guess there must be privacy by design. Privacy should be involved in the design stage itself, rather than then I'm thinking of an afterthought, because, as you rightly said, the DPDP Act, of India, which completely emphasizes on consent, limitation of purpose of data fiduciary and so on and so forth, wherein the granular access control, is obviously, to be handled by IAM as frameworks, and they should be consent aware. So, like they are aware that Shashank has really given the consent to this particular app for having its private information. So whether my mobile number should be exposed or should not be exposed to any platform should be my consent, right? I should be able to say that no, no. For example, like a platform like say social media, I really don't want to divulge my mobile number because I'll get thousands of calls, which will be, I get baffled with. So obviously, and both GDPR and CCPA, all of these privacy platforms, I guess the unified IAM, should be privacy by design, and the policy engine should be able to adjust according to those geographies, because obviously I cannot create an IAM framework specifically for India. Then for GDPR, I will have to develop another IAM. So IAM should be very agnostic, and these policies should be like a rule engine. So depending on, say, Singapore authority, say Monetary Authority of Singapore, enforcing their own set of privacy laws, they can tweak and make it more rigid and relaxed, as per the rule engine, like how we do in firewalls. Very similar to that, I guess. Yeah.
So, given your extensive experience with surveys and research, what's one surprising insight you have uncovered that challenged conventional wisdom in the tech or cybersecurity space?
Yeah, I mean, so definitely when we do a lot of research-based analysis and surveys, typically we especially for say the insider threat, on the awareness part, what I've seen that employees, who are highly technical, and they are handling the technology, vertical and everything. Uh, they become more overconfident, obviously, and that is where they also are the ones who they do not follow the protocol. So as per typical standards and surveys, you will find that these people should be following the protocol. They are well aware, but it is reverse way, right? Because you are so overconfident, and as a CISO myself, standing in front of cybersecurity, I still being not being humble, but being very very realistic that even my data can get breached, because we know that breach is not a phenomena of how or why, it is phenomena of when, right? It can happen anytime at anywhere and for anyone, be it with the institute, be it the organization, or an individual person. So we should be ready for it, and the only thing which enables me as a professional of a CISO is that I am aware that, okay, if such kind of incident happens to me, who I have to approach to, right? What are the cyber, say, crime channels, what are the numbers I have to dial for, say, any financial fraud, and so on and so forth. Whereas this awareness may not be for the end masses, right? But I have seen that, as you said, what is one standout or one surprising insight? I say that these employees who are very technically know how, they do not follow the protocol, and they fall scam to such kind of frauds. So that this is what is the reality versus what we get from the research. But obviously, we have to assume the technical literacy. It does not equate the behavior of security, right? Security behavior does not really matter whether you're knowing the technology, stack or something like that. It is two different things. A normal common man can, who has a secure behavior, who checks the websites, the URLs, and who follows all the protocol, right? Is less susceptible to attacks. Whereas someone who takes things for granted and becomes too overconfident might fall into those cracks. So obviously, even among experts, we should have that behavioral nudges to be there. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's an incredible insights. And that brings us come perfectly to the next point, that is Stanford's 2023 studies found out that urgency-based scams like your account is logged heavily exploit cognitive biases. How can IM systems themselves nudge the users towards more secure behavior, especially in light of what you just shared about human vulnerability?
Right. So very right. I mean, Stanford studies, obviously they have gone through the data sets and everything, and they would have understood that. Obviously, the cognitive bias, is getting weaponized over here, as you rightly said. It's an urgency-based scam, or what we say, or someone, wherein we have CEO's mail coming to CFO saying that I am traveling to US, and we need to, these are typical CEO, CFO scams which we see in the news. Obviously, the contextual, prompt over here is that as IAM, identity and access, they are the gatekeepers, right? Because they control your logging in, and when there is a sudden behavioral change, I guess, are you sure you want to do this transaction? A prompt coming in, makes the user rethink of its shape. Many times, even in current banking system, we have seen that when a large amount of shopping or merchant based advancement has been made, you will get an IVR call from your bank saying that are you the really one who is making this transaction, because this is a sudden large amount of say withdrawal, or as I said, merchant shopping or point of sale exercise which have been, you have swiped your card suddenly, and that kind of spend you have never done, say crossing in lakhs of amount. So depending on the amount and depending on your behavior pattern, your bank might trigger you an alert saying that are you really the one, and if you are the one, then please authorize, press one to say yes. This is what is really happening in the financial space, and I guess that is where is even the IAMs should be nudging the user saying that are you really sure that you want to do this kind of activity? Are you really sure that you want to log in because you have never used this login? And obviously it is like a introducing a delay, in the thought process, because of this urgency, as you said, you have to. It's an urgency based scam, and the other side, the fraudster is also pressing you that it is getting delayed. Can you please quickly do it? And then you fall into that trap, and then you quickly consume and quickly do that transaction. So if you get even a 3 second pause before approving such high risk actions, that can definitely introduce like a deliberation delay, and it can introduce that. And obviously we can obviously you have to have a positive reinforcement in such cases wherein we really applaud behaviors which are secure in nature, who have reported such kind of fraudulent exercise. And we can obviously, this is go as part of IAM's design. But yes, that is, I guess, that is how these urgency based scams can be curtailed a lot. And it's a human cognitive, because it's a human brain that behaves like that. Wherever we see that it is something which requires my immediate attention, I'll try to do that type of exercise first rather than doing the things other. Whether or not this is so crucial is something which is, as I rightly said, to bridge that balance. To bring that balance inside your thought, we might require 2 3 second of realization. So I guess this kind of nudges, behavioral based nudges, and contextual prompts, or something coming up saying that are you really one, are you really sure, to make sure that we are inducing that human brain thinking as to whether that step should be taken or not. One more time is really needed, I guess. Yeah.
As you have discussed earlier that you have done surveys and reports, so what is one thing that you encountered resistance when presenting data findings that are contradicted with stakeholders' assumptions? So how do you manage that, and what's your strategies to overcome that?
Yes. So one of the key factors when we are, say, presenting a survey related thing to really form it into a strategy. So basically, it's like a translation of your survey data into strategy. I guess it is more of a like a three-tier approach. First is to obviously understand what kind of responses are getting into the system. Maybe to define the second being to define the behavior, because people try to marry it, or basically try to get the data mapped into demographics, which is good in one sense, but that is like an old thing. We have to also marry to the behavior, like a maybe it consumer, be it anything. So I guess more of like a behavior matching, not just on the demographics. And I guess once we have that, we have to then align to the actionables, because ultimately whenever we are presenting the strategy to senior management is always focused towards what are you going to really achieve out of it. Like we understand that. So for example, risk based approach to, say, identity is much more required. Like now, if I am logging in from Indian geography, within an hour I cannot really reach Russia and try to log in from Russia. So if that is happening, the geolocation has changed. That means definitely someone has stolen my credential, and the hacker is based in Russia and trying to log in. So it's like a risk-based approach to identity and geolocation. So now what really is the actionable? So what we want to do out of it? So based on the strategy, we should understand that we should invest in blocking of such kind of behaviors. Really, what kind of, as I said, what kind of people, process, or technology? Typically three things. What kind of investment is needed, and what is the return on investment? Because you'll have to obviously present a use case saying that students suddenly, if we are trying to, say, evade identity based attacks, or say phishing attacks, this is the proportion or x amount of proportion of say data theft, or business frauds, or even financial frauds can be avoided.
So thank you for joining us.